welcome to Disability Income Insurance Product Training with Assurity. Today we're going to focus our conversation around our Century Plus disability policy. First, I believe it's important that we go through some of the opportunities in today's market. Disability insurance is one of those conversations that you can have with just about any client. One of the important things to remember about disability insurance and what it can do for your customers is help them alleviate that pain that they would feel if they were unable to go to work and earn an income. We know that 7 in 10 working Americans would feel a financial pinch in a month or less if they lost their paycheck due to not being able to go to work. This signifies the great need for disability insurance and income protection. The other thing that we know about disability insurance is that the length of time that someone's disabled typically lasts longer than most consumers think. The average length of disability is 34.6 months. That's almost 3 years that someone could suffer a disability and be out of work and unable to earn an income. The other piece that consumers oftentimes don't understand is that their disability benefits, sometimes through work, are oftentimes not long-term disability plans. 67% of Americans do not have a long-term disability plan. There's an obvious discrepancy here, knowing that the average length of disability is almost 3 years, and the majority of working Americans don't have a long-term disability policy. This creates a great opportunity for you as an agent or an advisor to help your consumers understand the need for income protection. It's important to understand what Assurity's Century Plus disability product does, and therefore we'll go over the features, the facts, and go through a fact finder of how the disability product works. As I mentioned, we're going to focus on the Century Plus disability income policy in our portfolio. There's a couple of key things about that product that I'd like to point out to you in your product training. First and foremost, Assurity uses occupation classes to classify your client and to help with the underwriting process. You can see those occupation classes listed up there on the top of the screen. We start with 4A, which is going to be our least risky occupations. Those are typically desk jobs, individuals such as insurance agents just like yourself. From there, the risk becomes greater. We go to a 3A, which are typically our medical professionals. 2A are going to be more of your skilled labor, and 1As are going to be your very skilled labor, where there's a lot of risk in their job. We'll show you some examples of what those occupations look like and how you could potentially classify them here in a few slides. The other thing to know about Assurity's disability product is that our maximum issue limits go all the way up to $20,000 of monthly benefit. When we calculate a disability benefit, we're typically calculating about 60% of someone's income. If we think about the maximum issue limit going up to $20,000 per month, that would be someone making about $450,000 per year. There's a lot of consumers that you can talk to before you're going to run into issues with the maximum issue limit and bumping up against those limits. So definitely think of those different types of clients and customers that you could approach about protecting their income. You'll also notice benefit periods, which is the length of time that an individual would receive a benefit from their disability policy, and elimination periods, which is the length of time that they have to wait and be totally disabled before receiving those benefits. You can see here on the screen that those benefit periods are a little bit longer. We go anywhere from 1 year all the way up to age 65 or age 67. Your elimination periods start at 30 days and can go all the way up to 365 days. So this signifies that this is a long-term disability policy and is classified that way for the Century Plus. Some of the unique advantages of Assurity's product is we do not require medical exams for anyone between the ages of 18 and 50 if they're applying for a benefit amount up to $4,000 per month. We also do not require income verification for W-2 employees who are not self-employed for benefits up to $4,000 per month as well. So that gives you a lot of opportunity to talk to different customers and not have to put them through an exam process or an income verification process. $4,000 of monthly benefit is typically about $80,000 to $82,000 of annual income for the individual. So lots of consumers you can talk to before you're bumping up against those limits. One of the important pieces of Assurity's disability policy is understanding the definition of disability. We use a true own occupation definition of disability. This is the strongest definition that you can have on a policy. Basically, what it's telling you is for the first 2 years, no matter what, if that insured can't do the job that they've been trained and educated to do, they still receive a benefit from us, even if they can go earn income somewhere else. So like I mentioned, this is the strongest definition of disability, and it's a really important conversation to share the value of that disability policy with your customer. So definitely keep that in mind as you're talking to them about their paycheck protection. Like I mentioned a little earlier, I wanted to share with you some ideas of the different occupation classes and potential occupations that you might find and how you could classify them as you're looking at different customers that you could approach. So for example, your 4As, like we talked about, are going to be more of your desk job type individuals. Your insurance agents, your accountants, there's low risk in their occupation on a daily basis. From there, you have individuals such as dental hygienists in the 3A category. You have nurses in a hospital setting. You have lab technicians, like I mentioned, a little bit more of your medical professionals. We also have your 2As, which are going to be more of your skilled labor individuals. A lot of mechanics, cosmetologists. We see a lot of occupations in this class for Assurity policies. And then finally, your 1A occupations are going to be your highest risk class. So those are people like your painters, your roofers. They're up high, they're down low, and there's a lot more risk in their job. I always tell agents that the easiest thing to do is to utilize our occupation guide, which is available when you're illustrating a policy, and it's also available in all of the Assurity marketing materials. Don't feel like that you have to remember exactly where your client's going to go. Our underwriters and our team here at Assurity will help you through that process. Also, please keep in mind that we have some advantages for small business owners. For those small business owners, we do an income enhancement where we'll enhance their income that we're basing their disability benefit off of by 20%. We also have the ability to give them an occupation class upgrade. So if you have someone who's a 2A and moving to a 3A, that could create about a 25% premium savings for the individual, depending on the situation. And then finally, we have multi-life discounts. So if you're working within a small business and you're able to sell multiple policies within that business, there are discounts available that we could apply to those policies to help with the premium of the disability policies. So one of the last pieces that we need to touch on is the underwriting process when it comes to disability insurance. And this is typically where a lot of agents fear what that process might look like. At Assurity, we make it really easy to get through the underwriting process, and we give you some tips here in different areas to pay attention to. So the first thing, like we already talked about, the occupation class is going to be important in that underwriting process. We want to know what their job is, what they're doing, what that hazard looks like on a day-to-day basis. That's how we base their monthly benefit. And a lot of the other features in that disability policy is by using that occupation and that occupation class. One of the tips that we give agents is if you can't decide which occupation class would be best, always pick the lower class because it's easier to go back and sell a better occupation class because the premiums will cost less for that individual. The second piece of the underwriting process is the income and financial background. Because we're basing the benefit off of their monthly income and looking at about 60% of that, we do need to know what their income and their financial background looks like. So one of the things that you can do is make it super easy and use our drop ticket. This just allows you to get basic demographic information, and then our in-house interview team will actually call out and ask the health questions and ask for income information as well. So that's a really easy way to complete the application process for the Century Plus disability insurance. And then finally, the third piece of the underwriting process to keep in mind is the medical history. So medical history does come into play. It is a key part of underwriting. The nice thing about disability policies is that we can actually offer coverage with modifications and exclusions to coverage before we get to a point of declining that individual. So there's a nice advantage there that we can go ahead and take a look at different options within that disability policy and try to figure out what makes the most sense for your client. Keep in mind that we do not require income verification and we do not require medical exams on individuals between the ages of 18 and 50 up to $4,000 of monthly benefit. So that's a key thing there where you could potentially skip steps 2 and 3 in this underwriting process. If your clients do not make it through the Century Plus underwriting process, do not worry. We actually have the second option for them as well. We have a graded benefit disability product in our portfolio. So for those clients who do not qualify for traditional disability insurance, our underwriting team automatically goes ahead and moves forward with seeing if we can make an offer using that graded benefit disability policy. It's really simple and it looks a lot like the traditional long-term disability policy. Benefits are just graded for those first 2 years. So basically for the first 2 years, if they have a graded benefit policy, any disability due to sickness is graded. So you can see there that it's going to pay 35% in the first policy year, 70% in the second policy year, and then at policy year 3, it's full 100% benefit. Benefits from disability or for disability for injury are not graded. So those are normal, typical disability benefits. So it's just the sickness piece that's graded for those first 2 years. So another great option if you do get into a sticky situation where you might be looking at a decline for a client. So with that, hopefully this product training gave you a brief overview of what Assurity's disability portfolio looks like, particularly our flagship product, our Century Plus Disability Insurance. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your regional team. We're here to help. Thank you.